Yo, everyone, welcome back to another Screen Talk video. I'm accompanied by Ore,
Yo, what's up, people?
and we are probably the two biggest Percy Jackson fans within the Screen Talk community.
Mm.
The last two women arguing about Percy versus another character from another universe. We won't say his name, might spoil it for a battle, but look, we're real. I don't have my Percy books on me. That's
Uh,
such an oversight. Oh my days. But if ads can find the picture, put the picture right here,
mm,
yeah, of me holding my Percy Jackson series. I read the books when I was younger. I bought them recently, like refreshed ones, read through the whole series, really
mm.
loved it. Heroes of Olympus series, Kane Chronicles. I'm tapped into all of the Riordan verse and yeah, like so we had really high expectations coming into the
Yeah, we
Percy
did.
Jackson series, the going to be the faithful one with Rick on board, all of that good stuff. But yeah, so it only had to be us two for the review. To be honest, like
Mm.
we've watched every episode. I've watched breakdowns, I've watched recaps, I've seen a lot of the online reaction, and I'm agreeing with some, disagreeing with others, but there is, I think, a collective feel in the community. But yeah, this will be our review. It's going to be a non-spoiler review for the first probably like 2-3 minutes, and then we'll let you know when then spoilers are coming straight on your head top afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, be expecting that. But yeah, so yeah, Ori, you know what? Generally, like, how did you find it?
It is a mixed bag, but I will say overall, I did like the series. I will say that. I think that the one thing I think everyone should highlight is how well the three main trio embody their characters. I know there's a bit of discussion about whether their performances were that great, but all my issues with their performances have to do with writing. I think in terms of like what they brought to the table, it was good. The storyline itself, obviously, it's in the books, like it's already been there, but the overall story, I'd say they adapted well. That's another point as well. It's a very good adaptation. Whether it's a good show on top of an adaptation, we can deliberate that, but it's a good adaptation. What else? I liked most of the visuals. I think they were really good. A lot of the things were really well brought to life. And yeah, like I think it did give you a feeling in some parts of like the books being translated directly onto the screen, which is what a lot of people had issues with the movie, is that it wasn't as accurate as it could have been. And maybe even some of the characters didn't feel like the characters in the books. That's one thing the show I think has done well, is that, when you're going to Camp Half Blood for the first time, or you're in the underworld or on Olympus, I feel like they really translated that well to bring you into the world. But in terms of everything that I liked, those are probably the main things. Yeah. What about you?
Well, me personally, yeah, I did like it. There were things that I would call drawbacks, but I don't think they stopped me from enjoying the overall series and actually having like a physical realization of books I did grow up reading. And like you were saying, that's something that I did miss. The trio were really, really good together, really good chemistry, really good acting. I feel like they embodied the characters, even with changes to like certain characters and certain things like that. I did generally like it. But I don't know. I've tweeted this. It is a really, really good, faithful adaptation of the Percy Jackson series. It definitely feels like something that can grow into a wider universe, which it probably will need to be to incorporate all the other characters that are also just as good. Um, but yeah, it is a really good adaptation. But I think there's just things you have to realize quite early on. And I think because I realized them quite early on, I was still able to enjoy it while watching. But I think it will definitely be something that is watched. It will definitely grow on people, especially when obviously future seasons are taken into context as well. But yeah, overall, I was able to enjoy it.
Yeah. Nah, I'd agree. I don't think it's not as trash a show as people. I know there's a lot of discussion about people saying
Yeah.
it's trash. It isn't trash. Is it a perfect show? Is it a great show? I wouldn't say so, but it's enjoyable enough that the flaws are something you can overlook to a certain point, and still enjoy like what it brings to the table. But I mean, we can go into what we didn't like without trying to give away too much for now, and then later dive proper deep into what made the series a bit of a mixed bag. But I guess for me, in terms of the stuff I didn't like that won't give away too much, I'd say the tone. Like, I do know the show is for kids, and I acknowledge that when I was going into it, but I do feel that the tone in some places well, a lot of places actually, was just a bit off. The tension as well. Like, I think that was one thing the book did really well, and I know it's different mediums and that, but the book did a really good job of making you feel the tension of these children going on a quest to essentially save the world. And the show doesn't do it as much. It does feel a bit like, well, we're just on a typical adventure. Like, the stakes weren't really there. There's a lot of telling rather than showing in regard to like the relationships between certain characters, and that kind of makes you, if you didn't know about them in the book, it would, like, I guess, dampen your viewing of the show, since you don't know about the relationships between these characters, so you're just getting told about it, so you don't really feel it. And then one thing as well, the runtime, I think Disney really stitched them up in terms of the runtime, because like, we've seen Disney shows, they've had Marvel shows where the runtime is 45 minutes without credits. Like, in the Percy Jackson show, you'd be lucky if you got to a 35-minute episode. And that just made it so they had to rush a lot of things, which, you know...
Listen, the whole structure of Disney Plus shows, this is what's really been like the final straw for me in critiquing Disney Plus shows in general. I don't know, I wouldn't say like a lot of their collaborations with, like, let's say Star Wars, Marvel, and even other Percy Jackson series, I feel like there's common complaints with all shows in terms of like how the episodes are actually being structured. Like, I don't know what's going on at their TV team, but it's like they're trying to bring in this new structure that's maybe formatted better for streaming, but it's not producing good television, to be honest, or it's ruined televisions that started really well. But to be honest, in general, I feel like they should just go back to more traditional episode structures, longer episodes, longer seasons. Like, there's a lot of, like you were saying, like, stakes that were missed probably because of runtime. Like, a lot of things were over-explained and some things weren't really explained.
Yeah.
Probably, but again, we'll go more detail with the spoilers in the spoiler part. But yeah, it was intriguing to see like their choices, especially with Rick on the board. So I'm surprised he let certain things go as well. But obviously, he probably had to compromise a bit. And again, once you take into account that obviously they are trying to set up future seasons, then a lot of things make more sense. A lot of things make more sense. But yeah, I've kind of really want to get into the spoilers. Things I like and things I don't like. So look, spoilers from now still. Spoilers from now.
You've been warned, man.
Watch the show or watch a recap and come back, then yeah, do what you gotta do. So okay, cool. Starting from my list, yeah, the things I liked. Again, it was age appropriate. That's one thing that, because I do compare it to the film a lot, and I'll be honest with you, I've even tweeted this. I'd say Percy Jackson season 1 is a better adaptation of the books, obviously more faithful to the source material. It has more of an ability to set up like what it needs to really satisfy this whole reordered universe. So the age appropriateness was good, especially how they aged down the characters, but you can still get a feel for them, probably more than from the films. Dionysus was good in this film. I liked him. He was annoying, which is just what he needs to be. Good acting, like a good choice for actor as well.
Yeah.
The last 2 episodes were really good. The last 2 episodes were really good. But what's it called? I don't know. They were kind of overhyped, so I was still a little bit disappointed. But I see what people were coming from. Like, it was a good last 2 episodes. Good finale. Again, yeah, good setup for next seasons. And these are the differences I like. So Grover was more confident in the show than he is in the books. He's a lot more sort of scared, unsure. He's not really a good like companion for these quests. He wants to go search for Pan. That's more like overstated in the books, but in the show, like, he seems more confident, more level-headed, which was it's a good dynamic between the trio. I think it widens, because I think they're trying to push the trio, because obviously like Grover goes on for Pan so far along part of the books and things like that, and it's mostly just Percy and Annabeth and other characters that come in on rotation. But I think they're trying to set up the trio here, which that makes sense. So it gives them more of a personality. I can see that they're fast-forwarding Percy and Annabeth's relationship, which I understand, and it's something that I think was done well. I do like it, and it does make sense. Obviously, build that tension between the two characters. That's what draws people in. The Medusa scene, again, but it's like, if a Percy Jackson film was on a budget, I would understand the Medusa scene a bit more, because then I'll be like, this is a great use of money management. But if you're a big boy Disney, every battle should really be feeling like something, and the Medusa scene didn't really feel like a lot, I'll be honest with you. But it was okay. It was okay. I did enjoy it though. Yeah, I liked how they improved Ares' involvement in the in the overall plot like quite earlier on than they did in the books. I liked it. I liked it, and they kept the Luke reveal much later, which makes more sense. Not much later, but like you could have kind of seen the seeds being sown in the books a bit earlier, but in the it's meant to be like a proper surprise, so that makes sense. And I like the Olympus scene when Percy is talking to Zeus, and how
that was a good scene.
Poseidon comes in and then talks to him and things like that. I like that scene. That scene was really good. And obviously, rest in peace, Lance Reddick. He did quite well in that scene. Things I didn't like. Less tension and stakes, like you were saying. Less tension and less stakes. Like, I feel like the war in the first book was really like such a bad thing. The weather was getting worse.
Yeah, you felt it.
This is what happened the last time they fought. This mad thing happened and this mad thing happened. The war just seemed like they fight all the time. Like, they're gonna fight anyway. This doesn't really even matter like that, to be honest. Like,
I think as well, because they had the deadline in the books, the deadline never gets crossed, so the trio are always working up until the deadline. Like, that's why there's more tension. Why did they miss
the deadline though? I don't get it.
Yeah, and people were saying, it's better if they do that. Like, I think the way they did it as well, people were saying, if they move the deadline, it means that Percy has to stop a war that's already started. I was like, okay, but that defeats the purpose.
Why specifically that though?
And even then, he gets to Olympus and Zeus is chilling on the throne, bro. It doesn't seem like a war has already started. That's what I didn't get.
Literally, they should all it just seems like some silly fight between two brothers. And they just squashed it like that. One just said, "Oh no, it's calm. Like you can win this one." What was all that though? I literally don't get that personal choice at all. But look, a couple characters and a couple scenes didn't have the aura that it had in the books.
Chiron
didn't have any aura.
Chiron doesn't have aura in the. I'll say Chiron doesn't. Chiron's he's just a teacher, bro. I don't think he doesn't need but he has to have a bit like his aura comes in the last Olympian.
I guess, but Percy sees as a father. I think again, it's much better in the books. In the film. In the film, Chiron has aura, like.
Yeah, but it's Pierce Brosnan. It's Pierce Brosnan though. It's a bit different.
I guess. Look, Luke has no aura. I'm not having.
Nah. Okay, I won't allow that. I won't allow.
The scar is not doing it for me. The scar is not doing it for me. He's doing okay, but look, again, the Luke in the film was oozing evil. Like, I don't know. Like, I needed, especially from the reveal. I said, I'll give him till the reveal. The reveal wasn't really given like that, though. To be honest.
Oh really? I like the reveal. I
liked it, but
I do get what you're saying, because I was a bit like, one thing I was a bit annoyed at, which is a bit of a nitpick, but as a book reader, it's the fact that Percy was able to hold his own against Luke. Like, I get that Percy's a prodigy, but Luke's had 5 years more experience than him. He's older by like 5 years as well. I get Percy's been training, but he's been training for like a week. Luke should have just dispatched him, and then maybe if you want to have Annabeth come save him, like she did, fair enough. But the only thing I liked about the reveal, aside from the actual reveal, that was one of the first times in the show that I felt that some actual filmmaking was involved. Because I'm sorry to say, a lot of the like shots and the cinematography from the slow.
Where did the money go,
bro?
Where did the money? Every episode I'm thinking, okay, cool, you're saving money here. You're saving money here. Okay, this was blacked out. Okay, this was murky. Okay, cool. It's gonna be one huge scene that was just gonna impress me. The filmmaking, like you're saying, the camera work, like it wasn't all that though. It really wasn't anything dynamic. Again, a lot of the scenes, in comparison to the first one, felt dynamic. The claiming scene for me is one scene that you really have to focus on as a Percy Jackson viewer or reader. Like, that is a big scene. When that Poseidon comes in, everyone kneels. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had fights with I think I can't remember what they're called, but something dogs in the books, and like it's meant to be something big's happening. Like, but no, the claiming scene had no aura. Again, it had aura in the film though. Had aura in the film. Didn't have aura in the show. That one really upset me.
Another. This is one of the. I think this is one of the worst offenders of the show, because this was like, because the show has a lot of these flaws throughout the episodes, but episode 6 is where you saw the show at its worst, in my opinion. Because for one, it's the Lotus Hotel scene, but you have all the showing, not telling. They figure out they're in the Lotus Hotel straight away. They figure out that they need to get out. There's not really any build up, and I get that the film because the film scene with Lady Gaga playing is iconic. Okay, like even if you don't like the film, their Lotus Hotel scene is goated. I get Rick didn't want to do the same sort of thing, but it just felt kind of flat. Like you don't feel like, oh, these characters are in danger because they already know, and they already know what they have to do to get out. Like it just felt
It
bland.
seems like it felt like you know them like kiddie play like buildings where the kids just go play for an hour. That's what it felt like. No stakes. Like it didn't look exciting. Again, I don't want to compare, but in the film, that felt like somewhere I wanted to be. I feel like, wow, you know what? Yeah, I'm with you guys. I don't want to continue this quest. If I was you guys, I'd want to stay here, and I might be one of those guys who stays here forever. Everyone who stayed there forever, they look like a loser. That place does not look fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to keep battering on about things I didn't like, but one of the things that links into the whole money situation is that the kind of magic of the world outside of maybe the monsters, I didn't feel that. Like, it's, with the gods, for example, in the books, when he meets Dionysus, he sees that Dionysus has purple flames for his eyes. He shows him a vision of him turning people mad. Ares has eyes full of fire as well. That proper hit hard to Percy that, yo, I get you're a sassy 12-year-old, but you need to chill when you're talking to these higher beings. Even Hades, and this is one thing that proper annoyed me with episode 7, is that in the books, Hades is described as the first god who felt like a god, right? And he's supposed to be described as 10 foot tall, radiating power. And yeah, he's not involved, but he still is like threatening Percy because, bro, he's the king of the underworld. In the show, they just made him some dude who likes quipping and he's a bit quirky. Like they made him a neek, bro. I'll be real, they made him a neek. Like
It's like show them. I like it in other like Greek mythological films where they show gods. They're not even that big, but they're like 10 foot. That's just their base form. They have to make them so smaller to talk to people and stuff like that. And I think that's how it's described in the books. They're bigger, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're bigger than we should be. So obviously they do have the big thrones, but no. Again, when you write about a character walking straight into Olympus for the first time ever, you make Olympus look like a place, a proper place, like with all the descriptions from the book and with gods towering and things flying around in places, and you have to make that area feel like it has weight, which I don't feel like they did. I feel like it was a real overuse of CGI. I feel like a lot of things could have been more practical. I don't really see why a Percy Jackson film is really spending all that much money on an environment. I'd rather have it on monsters and god portrayals and stuff like that. I don't need to have a perfect sunset in the back. You know, I need to kind of put it in like the right places where you need to feel weight. Like the first Minotaur scene, yeah, it was in the dark. And I felt cool. You know, you don't want to spend too much money on this scene because it's the first scene, but it was a good enough scene. It was good. I like the light work and what they did there. But it's like every fight had like a little, oh, he has to go behind the corner. Like I remember when Echidna was chasing them into that thing. The monster was just getting bigger behind the car, and then people were just screaming. I'm thinking, oh, come on, though. Every scene has like a little, but he's hidden, but it's dark, but it's murky. Even when look, this is a little nitpick. When he fell into the water, yeah, for the first time after he dropped out of that thing, yeah, and the water caught him, that was cool. Okay, cool. Now you're at the bottom of the ocean. Wait, but I thought you actually recorded this underwater. That place looked awful. It was so murky. I don't really get it. I actually don't really get it, to be honest, because it's like I thought I saw them do scenes of him underwater. So why does this look so bad? I can't even see who he's talking to. I can't. Even, I know described it as murky in the books, but come on, like Son of the Ocean, you should have like a little bit of bare eyesight in the ocean, like. And also, why does he get wet? I don't know why.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was just a budget thing or they just intentionally
why
made
is that
it
a budget
that
thing
way,
though?
but...
Just cut the shot and then continue when he's dry. What? I don't get why that's even there. Look, also, Hephaestus isn't ugly. Nah, I need him to be ugly. Slightly.
I didn't hate the change. I didn't hate the change, but I didn't love the change, but I didn't hate it. But I hear it. I hear that. It's also like, I don't know. I feel like they focused a bit too much on, in terms of the writing, for example, they focused a little too much on making the trio feel like they had a lot of chemistry, which they did because all the actors have chemistry. But I just saw, bro, a lot of the quips they're throwing out there. It's like, oh, let's just throw in a funny quip. You know, it's like, it feels like they're kids. But then they didn't pay attention to some of the other dialogue that they had, which just felt a bit clunky, a bit exposition heavy. just a bit, I don't know, man. It's hard to describe because I know a lot of people will say, oh, you're nitpicking, but you can tell when you watch something, the tone is really important to get right. And there's a lot of little things that can contribute to making the tone feel off, whether that's writing, camera work, performances. And it's like a lot of these little things together made it so the show just didn't hit the heights that it could have hit. And I get, again, it's the first season. Maybe they'll grow into the second season. Rick probably wanted to make sure that he probably focused on, oh, let me make it better than the movie rather than just make it good, full stop. But I don't know. It's hard to like give it too much praise because it is quite flawed. But I feel like they have a good base, but they just need to make sure that they level up like everything. And it's not like, oh, just fix this one thing. They need to get better writers. They need to improve the camera work, up the budget, up the runtime. Maybe not even up the budget, but just manage the budget better. Like I heard it's 12 to 15 million an episode. That's enough to make a good long episode. Like Game of Thrones did it. Avatar's doing it from what we've seen. So yeah.
Yeah, this is something that we touched on in the non-spoilery part, but it's just like, also, sorry, before I say that, let me add one thing. I think films like, I haven't really watched the Turtles film, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film that came out recently, but I've seen a couple of clips from the film. And I saw one where you can obviously tell that the kids ad-libbed this part and it seemed genuine, it seemed fun, it seemed like how kids actually talk. Again, like you're saying, some of the writing was a bit clunky in this, especially between the trio. They did establish a good connection, like you're saying, but obviously a lot of the writing was a bit clunky on the clunky side. But yeah, like you're saying, everything really needs to go up with a level with a season two, to be honest, because it's like just certain decisions of how money was allocated, certain changes to certain characters, certain changes to the story. The change to the story, I think, is one thing that's annoyed people online the most. It's like the certain changes just ripped all the tension, all the stakes, like we're saying, out of certain scenes. Even like forwarding Percy and Annabeth, you can tell that there's lacking that dynamic that Annabeth had with Luke, where it's like this would seem like an even worse betrayal in the books than it really did seem like in the books. Where Annabeth would, I think they even suggested like Luke might be a thing, and Annabeth was like, no.
Yeah.
Or later on, like she really does like trust in him a lot. So I think that should have been expanded on more. But like I feel like that's where you lost a lot of book readers. Maybe not general public, because obviously we don't really have the perspective of general public and how they really find it. I mean, it seems fine, but I think book readers have just certain like, we kind of needed this to be in there and kind of change it for what we see as no reason. I'm not really seeing the returns of missing out certain parts, to be honest.
I feel like some of those, like the Percy birth, I need to see how they handle it in season 2, because I think Rick's wife, who's like a producer on the show, or someone said that they set up Percy birth in this season as, they're finding friends, and then they're going to make it a slow burn to a relationship after, which is all well and good, but it depends how they do it. If we keep seeing more hints that they're going like 100 miles per hour, because people need to realize like they didn't become a thing until the end of the 5th book, which is 4 years after they first met. It's not like they had that dynamic already, so it'll be interesting to see. But one of the other things they cut out, which as a book reader I just didn't get at all, was 1, Ambrosia and Nectar. They just don't mention it at all. And then 2, they have an episode titled, A Zebra Takes Us to Vegas. They don't even show that Percy can talk to horses, bro. Like, that's like one of his most prominent powers.
One thing I'm definitely going to need them to change is the runtime. Disney just needs to do a complete overhaul, because even with shows like Daredevil coming up and things like that, I don't want this where one thing that really annoys me about Disney Plus content and this show in 2, well, unfortunately it's a victim of this as well, every episode just feels like I'm not full. Like, you gave me a little bit of something, but I wanted a bit more. And I don't think every episode should be giving you that. Obviously, if you're going to do a weekly release as well, you're not going to put on like a binging like way. You're going to do it through like a binging, like you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to do it through like
a binge model.
Yeah, like a binge kind of thing. Yeah, you're going to have to what's it called? Increase the runtime, because you're not getting enough in a short amount. Maybe fine if you want a short amount, you're not really getting enough. Look, pause. You're not getting enough meat in there. You're not getting enough meat in there because every episode I'm not feeling satisfied. And I feel like sometimes we were from the cliffhanger, but sometimes we need to be ready to wait for another week. But it's just like every episode was like, 20, 30 minutes. Okay, cool. Then I go on with the rest of my day. It wasn't really changing my life.
Yeah,
which I feel like this kind of like series had the capable of doing. It could have changed people's lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could have made fans forever and ever, but it wasn't that. It just wasn't that. But look, my final like nitpicks, Percy's blonde. And I tried my best to be okay with it. I really tried my best to be okay with it. But I just don't see why. Because I'm thinking in the future, okay, cool, let's say they meet Jason in the future. So now Percy and Jason are both blonde. No, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And also, look, this is simple stuff here. There's a lack of blue stuff. There is a lack of blue stuff, and I don't get why. Why is there a lack of blue stuff? Like, I don't think this was even like a nitty, realistic adaptation of Percy Jackson. Like, I know that's a silly thing, but it's just like, why the lack of blue stuff, though? That just seemed like a weird little thing that just didn't.
I mean, they didn't even have Grover eating tin cans, which he does in the books as well.
Things like that, exactly.
There's little things like that's what I mean. There's little things like little choices that they don't seem consequential, but it's like a lot of these little things that build up contributes to how the show.
And they alienate book readers, in my opinion.
Honestly,
stuff like that.
Thing is, I've seen online a lot of the discussion around the show has been toxic because there are a section of people I think that are book readers that realize, okay, it's a different medium. It's made for kids and stuff, and so it's going to be different. But there's some book readers who, they can't. Because it's accurate, they think, it's a good show. And it's like, you can be an accurate show and not be good. Like, they're not two synonymous things. Like, there's a lot of flaws with the show, not even in terms of just the book changes. Like we discussed, the camera work, the visuals, the runtime at times, even the dialogue and stuff like that. So I don't know why there's some people who can't accept that the show has problems. Because if we don't talk about the problems, we're not going to get a season 2 that's better than this. If we say, it's perfect. Like,
look, any adaptation is meant to take liberties. You know, it's meant to change certain things for media consumption, the different media consumption. Like them being praised for just sticking to. But the thing is, they changed a lot of stuff for no reason. But it is faithful. I will say it's faithful. So it does get points for that. But it's not the be all end all of an adaptation. It needs to also be good. You know what I'm saying? It also needs to be good. You know.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I guess in terms of my final thoughts, I'd say, like I said before, the show is good. I'd give it maybe a 6.5 out of 10. It's missing just a little bit to get it up to a 7. And it's definitely not higher than that, but it is good enough that I wouldn't give it like a 5 or a 4. Like we said, it adapts most of the book fairly well. The main trio really do feel good, and then a lot of the other actors they get, like Lance Reddick as Zeus, R.I.P. He was really good. Edge as Ares, I personally think he was the best god portrayal we got. He was who Ares should be. Dionysus, for example, other characters, Sally Jackson as well. Clarice, in the few scenes that we got her. Personally, I know you weren't the biggest fan. I like Luke. I do think there's a platform for him to get better, but we'll see. But yeah, there is a lot that they can improve on. I hope they take the criticism from everyone constructively and just level up the show. Sea of Monsters is not an easy book to adapt, I can't lie, because for me, I think it's probably the lesser of the Percy Jackson book, so we'll see how good that season can be. But there's a lot on the table that they can really make it a good show. And I know that when we get to the third book, Titan's Curse and onwards, like they will hit, because the books are good enough that I don't think they can do that much to mess up what is already there. But for now, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, it's a decent show with potential to be a great show, but they just need to put in the work to get it to there. So.
Yeah, I fully agree. But my final thoughts would probably be like echoing the same kind of idea. Like, be open to change. There's you've definitely set up a great foundation for development and evolution of the characters, the storylines. Also, I did like Clarice. Also, let me add that too. But look, the thing is, people always said this before we got this show, and even before we got the film as well. Percy Jackson is big enough to rival Harry Potter in terms of reach, in terms of just like how people enjoy the characters, the wider universe. It has a much better wider universe than Harry Potter does. So the capability is there, and the thing is, so I would compare it. So if I'm comparing the Percy Jackson season 1 to Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone blows out of the water. And you know what? As a viewing experience, I think I'd actually prefer the film. But I will say this is a better adaptation. And again, it's the capability of the future that I'll take into account. But Harry Potter and what's it called, and the Philosopher's Stone, yeah, obviously it was a big production. Obviously it was a big film with a lot of backing. But there's just that sense of wonder and like in it that trapped people. They trap people more than the books. I'm sure more people got into Harry Potter from the movies and the books. But you will never get all the fans needed for the show with a first season like that. Us bookers will ride with this show, like we'll ride with it, we'll push it to everyone, but we're not bringing in enough new people with that first season. So yeah, that'll probably be my final thoughts. But yeah, man, don't forget to comment your thoughts, like the video, share the video. Yeah, if you disagree with us, anything that you think we didn't mention, and yeah, man, enjoy this video. I enjoyed season 1. We'll be back for season 2.
We'll be back for season 2.
Yes,
and keep screen talking, guys.
Don't forget to keep screen talking. Bye.